Sean Payton certainly made some big waves of his own in an interview published by USA Today. Some volatile quotes from the head coach about last season's struggles for the Broncos, like these about Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was.
It made me feel bad that someone who's accomplished a lot in the league is that insecure that they have to take another man down.
Once again, with boos raining down, Denver is not able to get it done.
That wasn't his fault, Payton talking about Wilson. That was the parents who allowed it.
To set themselves up for some sort of easy fall if it doesn't go well for that team this year?
That's not an incrimination on him, but an incrimination on the head coach, the GM, the president, and everybody else who watched it all happen.
Thought it was way out of line and inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's names out of his mouth.
Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton, two very polarizing figures in the NFL's recent history, and as of late, they've been at odds. Both of these guys are Super Bowl champions. Aaron Rodgers has won 4 MVPs, and Sean Payton is a former Coach of the Year award winner. After 18 years in Green Bay, Rodgers forced his way out to become a New York Jet. Payton spent 15 years coaching the Saints before he retired, and accepted a role as an analyst on Fox NFL Sunday. After just 1 year away from the game, Payton took the job to become the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. So why are the Jets quarterback and the Broncos head coach feuding? They're not in the same division, they're on opposite sides of the country. Why is Sean Payton taking shots at the Jets offensive coordinator? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Cole from Barrel Media, and today we'll be getting into all of that. We'll be getting into the background of Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton and why this happened. If at any point you enjoy what you're watching, do me a favor and leave a like. Feel free to comment your thoughts, opinions, and so on. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. On to the video. Following the 2021 NFL season, the Denver Broncos fired head coach Vic Fangio. The Broncos had not made the playoffs since their Super Bowl 50 victory 6 seasons prior, and general manager George Payton made it clear what they were looking for, the right leader. We'll get back to that. At the same time, Aaron Rodgers had just won his 4th MVP award, and there were plenty of rumors about him wanting to play for a different team or even retire. The Denver Broncos, well, they heard the rumor of Rodgers potentially wanting a change of scenery, and they jumped on the opportunity. After firing Fangio, they went out and grabbed Nathaniel Hackett to be their new head coach, as he was previously the Packers offensive coordinator and someone who Rodgers has since described as arguably his favorite coach he's ever had in the NFL. No disrespect to Nathaniel Hackett, but I think the Broncos and GM George Payton forgot about the whole right leader thing. I'm going to guess the interview process with Hackett was less about the leader of men that he is and more about his relationship with Aaron Rodgers. The Broncos were preparing to have Rodgers under center for Week 1 of 2022, but at 11:44 a.m. on March 8, 2022, Aaron Rodgers announced he would be returning to the Packers. 2 hours and 4 minutes later, at 1:48 p.m., the Broncos pulled the trigger on a trade where they would receive Russell Wilson. Soon after they realized Rodgers would not be a Bronco, they employed Plan B, Russ. So at this point, Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett are Broncos, and Aaron Rodgers is still a Packer. What happens next? The Broncos finished the 2022 NFL season with a 5-12 record. Nathaniel Hackett is fired, and Russell Wilson has the worst year of his career. In his 11th season, it was the first time in Wilson's career he didn't pass for at least 20 touchdowns. His completion percentage and quarterback rate were the worst they've ever been. He was sacked a league-leading 55 times, and it was just the second time in his career he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Wilson clearly wasn't himself last year, and I'm not sticking up for him because he was just horrible at times, but it's not outlandish to say Hackett's coaching may have been part of the reason why he struggled. For example, in Week 1, down a point with a minute to go on 4th and 5 at midfield with all 3 timeouts, Hackett opted to run the clock down to 20 seconds and make Brandon McManus attempt a 64-yard field goal. He missed it. In Week 2, he struggled with clock management yet again, and the Broncos' decision-making brass basically said, okay, you've lost those privileges, and hired Jerry Rosburg as an assistant and game and clock management specialist. Ahead of Week 11, Hackett gave up play-calling duties to quarterbacks coach Clint Kubiak. After a 51-14 loss to the Los Angeles Rams on Christmas Day, the Broncos sent Hackett packing. Nathaniel Hackett pulled an Urban Meyer, and, of course, by that I mean he was fired before completing the first year of his contract. Let's head over to Sean Payton, the guy who was involved in Bountygate, a program in which Saints defensive players were awarded monetary prizes for knocking opposing players out of the game. Payton was suspended for a full season for the Bountygate scandal, and during that season, he coached his son's 6th grade team. The team lost just one game during that season, so, of course, he had the father of one of the team's players go and record the other team's offense and send it to Bill Parcells to break it down. They faced each other in the championship game, and Payton's team still lost. He was also the subject of the Miami Dolphins tampering scandal when it was rumored they were trying to pair Sean Payton and Tom Brady together, costing the Dolphins a first-round pick. They reportedly offered Payton a 5-year, $100 million contract, so that's the guy we're dealing with. Back to Bountygate briefly, where I think it's important to note that players were being offered $5,000 to knock Aaron Rodgers out of the 2011 season opener. They liked using the term knock out, but really what they're saying is injure. Sean Payton was aware of this and lied to Roger Goodell, telling him he wasn't. He later admitted he lied about it and knew that his players were trying to hurt Aaron Rodgers. It may have been 12 years ago, but there's a good chance there's still some bad blood between these two due to that. Now, I'm not here to make a determination on Sean Payton's character and whether he's a good person or not, but what I am saying is that if you're the type of guy to encourage your players to hurt other players and compensating them for it, I don't think it's entirely out of the realm of possibilities to believe that you may hold a grudge against a guy who indirectly got you suspended. Far-fetched? Maybe. But that's why I told you about how I went to Bill Parcells for help on how to beat a 6th grade football team that was probably being coached by a history teacher. The recent comments, though, are what's interesting. Let's face it, Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton are two guys that most NFL fans really can't stand. And while Payton definitely shouldn't have said that Nathaniel Hackett produced one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history because it is disrespectful, he's probably right. That was some serious coaching malpractice done by Hackett with Denver last year, and it was shocking to me when the Jets hired him. But it was the exact same as when the Broncos hired him last year, because they thought it would lure Rodgers to them. Except this time, it worked for the Jets. Rodgers responded to these attacks with his quote about Payton being insecure and to keep his coach's name out of his mouth.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
I also love the part where Rodgers calls out Payton for setting his team up for an easy fall, pretty much pointing out that Payton's saying, hey man, it's not my fault, Hackett ruined him, in regards to Russell Wilson. Payton has since said that he had his Fox hat on, and it was a mistake, but really? Did you really have your Fox hat on?
Really? You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why?
Or were you just stirring the pot for the Week 5 matchup between the Broncos and the Jets? Rodgers claims he still has a lot more to say about it, and both him and Hackett have made it clear they haven't received an apology from Payton. That about does it for this one. Thanks for watching, and if you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate a like, and you'd be doing both me and yourself a favor by subscribing so you'll never miss anything. Thanks for watching. See you next time.